dam that water. Meaning diverting water, keeping it away from your house because it can be a problem sometimes.
Can do a lot of damage.
Can do a lot of damage. That's why we're doing a show today that is another one of our panel discussions. We did one a couple of weeks ago, got some great feedback on it. So I think it's a format people are going to really love. So today we're going to hit a hugely important topic, protecting your home from water that is in places it shouldn't be.
Exactly. That's identifying problems, coming up with solutions, being proactive so that you don't have damages to your home.
Yeah, it's going to be great. We got 3 top experts, and we're going to introduce you to them in just a couple of seconds here. First, though, Greg, you celebrated a birthday this past week. How was it?
It was good. I went to the strip club.
What?
Not the strip club you're thinking of. I had a New York steak at the strip club.
It doesn't matter what you ordered at the strip club. You went to a strip club.
No, not a strip club. Actually, it's called the Downtown Strip Club.
The gas lamp.
Correct.
Yeah. Strip club is a New York strip steak.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got you. How was it?
It was great.
Awesome.
Really good. And the sides, amazing.
Nice. So I was glad to hear it for your 29th birthday again, that you had a good time.
29, yeah.
For me, this last week has been good. I've been working so many hours and so much going on. And this last weekend after the show, I basically collapsed, spent the rest of the weekend pretty much sleeping. But I've learned to kind of let myself do that, not feel like I'm depressed or sad. It's just exhausted.
I was holding you up last week, Sean.
You had me propped up, and I had toothpicks holding my eyelids open like a cartoon. But I feel better now. Today on TV, in case you missed it earlier, System Pavers was on talking about great accent features for the backyard. We're going to have a great video series coming out with them too soon, which I can't wait to announce. Also, Reborn Cabinets, we're celebrating their 35th anniversary with a gift certificate program we're doing with them. So that's something you're going to be hearing about more in coming weeks. Lots of great stuff on ABC 10 you hear in the mornings with us at 6:55 and 8:55. Greg, in terms of news, you always keep abreast of what's going on out there in home improvement and related things. You saw a pretty interesting article the other day. Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, there was a really good article about how home values are going up, and I mean, there's less homes now that are upside down, which is good news. So
it's hard to get in the front door that way when they're because you have to get their way up to the top.
But I mean, it's a great time to finance improvements because there's equity. There's a lot of popular improvements that were in this article, and the most popular one, 81% of remodelers reported doing more bathroom remodeling. So that's popular. And, of course, kitchens and additions and just home maintenance and all those things. I mean, if you have equity, you can get an equity line easily and take care of that long-term maintenance that you've been delaying.
Yeah, I've been reading a lot of similar articles, and actually that article that you're talking about is available at on Facebook at Approved Home Pros. Just go into Facebook. We just posted it for you. But I've been seeing a lot in different articles that people are now doing the bigger projects that they were putting off for years because they feel more confident in the economy, more confident in their home. So they were doing maintenance maybe before, but now they're choosing to do the kitchen remodel or the bigger expense item.
Well, like I said, what's nice is people now see the equity that they have, and so they're not nervous about spending a little money.
No bubble going on with all this, you think?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I think it's still on the rise.
Yeah, and fundamentals, I think here, I don't think things are that much outpacing the fundamentals. I mean, in some areas, maybe yes, but I think there's a lot of confidence and for the right reasons. Noticed on Google Trends that deck building is a breakout topic. Lots happening in deck building because people are getting ready for the summertime. So you need
there's a lot of bad decks out there. We see them all the time, and so I think it's another thing. Water ruins wood decks. So
we should have brought somebody in from the deck world for today too. Just want to remind people if they are interested in decks, we've got some great companies there. So go on to ApprovedHomePros.com and just do a search under decks or patios. And something else this week in HomePro Connection, our email blast, you can sign up for it at ApprovedHomePros.com. We were talking about keeping your pool clean by keeping vegetation, animals, chemicals, and different things away from the pool. And Payan Pool Service is a company we recommend. Payan Pools is just great. Javier Payan and his whole team.
He's great. He's my pool man, and he actually visits my site. I mean, not all the time, but he comes to my house personally at times to make sure things are going well.
He's also now doing Linda Martin's pool. Of course, Linda, our host on TV. And she said such a dramatic difference from her old pool guy where she was never sure if he came. The pool was always kind of on the edge of not being perfect to now it's always sparkling clean.
Well, and what's great about Pion is he comes there. His tech comes every week. They call me ahead of time because we have dogs, so we make sure the dogs are not out. And I mean, we have that kind of communication, and I don't think you get that with most companies.
No, he's a great guy. Javier Payan Pool, 619-312-6760. Check it out. Let's get into the panel, at least discuss the players who are on the field with us today and in the big game of keeping water away from your home. Our first guest, Mr. Paul Frankel from Perkins Custom Coatings. Paul, how are you doing today?
Good.
I'm glad to have you. Are you kind of the one that really put this topic front of mind for us? So I'm glad you had done that, and thanks for coming down today and joining us.
I'm glad to be here.
Greg, why is Paul and coatings part of the discussion today?
Well, there's a couple of reasons. One is waterproofing decks and preventing water from coming in, but also Paul can identify when there is water problems underneath slabs and come up with solutions for homeowners.
And oftentimes you're the guy that sees a lot of the problems because somebody wants to put a garage coating down, let's say, and you walk in and you see the issue in the foundation.
Exactly. Yeah. This is my 11th year of doing this, and by my calculation, I've visited about 15,000 homes, and so you learn a lot.
You're just starting to get a kind of a picture,
Yeah,
picture coming
just
together.
starting to get comfortable now.
So Paul Frankel, Perkins Custom Coatings. Next up on our panel today, longtime pro in our network, A-1 Rain Gutters, Mark Richardson. I love having you on there. Mark, good morning.
Hey, thanks. Happy to be here.
Greg, rain gutters. Seems like an obvious one for talking about rain, keeping water away from your home.
But it's obvious, but many people don't. Either they don't have rain gutters or they're not installed properly. And the whole idea is to get water out quickly, get it to the downspouts and to the drainage system or natural runoff, and just get it away from the building. And Mark does a great job of installing gutters and identifying those kind of problems.
So Mark is here to talk about kind of controlling water that falls from the sky and keeping it away from your home. And then Mr. Bob Briley. I keep saying we need to cue the music up, but
Good morning.
Bob Briley, We Care Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
Where's your cowboy hat?
I got it out there in the waiting room right now. The room's not big enough for that big hat.
Yeah, no, it's not big enough for the hat and Greg's ego.
That's
In
true.
the same
And by the way,
room
Greg,
right now.
happy belated birthday. Are you an AARP card member?
Not quite yet. I'm getting close.
Hey, listen,
though.
I got
Very
my
close.
card. You definitely are a member. Don't you give me that. Bob is with We Care Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Plumbing is an obvious one with water and slabs, right, Greg?
Well, especially there's thousands of homes in San Diego County that have copper under the slabs, and those slab leaks can do a lot of damage. So, and that's one of many things that Bob is here for, to talk about water leaks. Could be even under your sink or areas that are unseen and unknown.
So I think we got a good group today to be able to tackle this, plus with your expertise, Greg, and my lack of expertise, because I represent the homeowner here in this situation. We're coming up on the break fairly quickly, so we don't have time to really, really get too deep into it. But let's just briefly start on the problem here. If water gets into the foundation, big deal. What does water do? But water is one of the most damaging things that's out there. Paul, we don't have a lot of time, but can you give me the quick elevator version of what water can do when it gets into your foundation without any control?
Well, concrete is very happy when it's not exposed to water. It will last literally thousands of years, and there's a very slow cure process where it will shed water through that. Basically allowing it to continue. Concrete's a mixture of water, Portland, and sand, and so you've got a constant curing going on. And when you introduce external sources of water, it messes up that whole curing process, and concrete will react very poorly. And
Wouldn't you say, Paul, if a slab is poured correctly and there's no drainage problems and underground problems, that it's not going to crack?
That's
Actually, we're gonna have to hit that when we come back after the break, because I know the answer is something I want everybody to hear, and I don't want to give half an answer to it. So I'm sorry to cut you off, Paul.
Yeah.
But Greg, that's a huge question. We're gonna get to that when we come back. So coming up after the break, talking about what can happen with the foundation, what some of the problems are, and two big divisions: water you choose via plumbing, and water you don't choose via falling from the sky. We call that rain. So that's coming up on Approved Home Pros. Welcome back to Approved Home Pros. We are your expert, free, easy, and local source for everything having to do with homes and home improvement. On the air, I think we have our good friend, Mr. Harry Schwartz, the man who grills and chills all the time at Ace Hardware. How you doing, Harry?
I'm good. How are you today?
Oh, doing really, really well. Hey, thank you for last week. After the show, even though I was on the edge of collapse, we did head over to the Hillcrest Ace Hardware store for your grilling event and sample some great food and everything. It was marvelous.
We had a good time. It was, the beginning and the kickoff of our grill promotion for the month, so it was a fun time.
And I see free promotion here.
So that's right. It goes through this coming Monday, so you can still get it this weekend. It's buy a Weber Traeger or Big Green Egg grill of $399 or more, and we give you free delivery in our delivery area, free assembly, and free fuel for that grill.
That is awesome.
It's a great deal, and those are some great grills.
And we have Memorial Day coming up, so that's a perfect time to buy a grill.
Exactly right.
And what's so special about Traeger grills?
So Traeger are wood pellet grills, and so they use a wood pellet to naturally enhance the flavor of the grill, or the food rather, that you're grilling. And the great thing about it is it's very versatile. You can grill, smoke, roast, bake, barbecue, and braise all on the same grill.
And HOA compliant?
That's right. It doesn't use propane, and most homeowners associations don't allow propane grills. So and it has low flame. It's easy to use. You just set it and forget it.
And Harry, the other one that I wanted to talk about just very briefly is the Big Green Egg. When we were there at your store, I sampled some great meat that came off the Big Green Egg, and there were more sizes than I was familiar with. We don't have a lot of time, but just real quickly, Big Green Egg.
So the Big Green Egg is a Komodo-style ceramic grill that uses wood charcoal. Also very versatile. Comes with hundreds of accessories. And the great thing about it is the ceramics seal in the moisture when you're cooking, so you don't dry out your meat.
Yeah, it's a great system. You can cook pizzas on it even. It's a great thing. Ace is your place for grills. Ace is the place. You guys should coin that and make that.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I just came up with that.
And go to sdacehardware.com for your local location.
Yep, that's correct.
Go visit Harry at the Hillcrest or downtown store or any of the stores and get out there and grill and chill this summer. Thanks, Harry.
Have a good day.
And Greg, I forgot on the front end, my bad. There's an event that's going on regarding building safety.
Right now, as a matter of fact, and it's at the Costco parking lot in Mission Valley. Dan Scher, I hope to have him on for Cantor's Corner this morning to talk about Building Safety Month and what's going on down there with inspectors and engineers and displays, demonstrations. So get down to the Costco parking lot in Mission Valley, and you can see all this great information.
Yeah, it's going to be a great event. So, yeah, head down there for that. You're going to hear more from Inspector Dan. Hopefully we have the Inspector Gadget theme song when he comes on. But Inspector Dan coming up later at the end of the show. So we're talking this morning about water, where it shouldn't be, which is your foundation, and what problems that causes and how to fix it. We've got reintroducing the players on the field today. We have Paul Frankel from Perkins Custom Coatings, an expert in coatings and foundations, and sees a lot of the issues and knows how to solve them. We've got Mark Richardson from A-1 Rain Gutters here to control the water and its flow, and Bob Briley from We Care Plumbing, Heating, and Air talking about the plumbing side of things and controlling water there. We're talking about the problems. Water does not belong in your foundation. And Greg, you asked about cracks, and Paul, you started to answer that, and I rudely cut you off because of the break. Does extra water in the foundation cause problems like cracks?
Well, what the most common issue that I see is when the dirt underneath your house gets wet, it causes the original compaction to be altered and creates air pockets underneath the concrete. And then the weight of the house, the weight of the concrete will actually, and the stresses within the concrete itself will generally cause cracks to form. And this is also much more typical in with the era of homes where control joints were not added during the original construction, which is basically 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s.
I'm raising a hand like a student in class. Somebody help me out. What is a control joint? Can somebody in the room help me out?
It's just a joint where the concrete, either you use felt or you just score it with a trowel and make a defined joint, so it just controls if the concrete cracks, it just cracks in a straight line, and it doesn't do any structural damage.
So it's a controlled crack area. It's telling it if you're going to crack, crack here.
It's designed to cause the crack to be in that line itself.
But what Paul's talking about too is there are a lot of homes that were built without the control joints and without proper drainage. And drainage is so important because undermining the foundation causes damages too. And when people build planters and trap the water, it undermines the foundation.
Yeah, which is something that you guys were educating me on a little bit as we're preparing for this. Maybe Mark Richardson, you can take this. There were not a lot of rules and regulations and thought put into stopping water from getting into your foundation and the building codes and generations of homes built in the San Diego area. Is that true?
That's right. And in the 70s, when I started, I actually had Allstate hire me to go out and put gutters on homes that had foundation damage, and we did that for a while. And now they write that out of their policy, so they don't cover that kind of thing. But the idea is to control the water and direct it from your foundation. That starts with rain gutters.
And not let it get in there, because there weren't vapor barriers, which I've learned that term, and different things required by code for a long time. So people, if you have a home built before a certain year, and I'm going to ask you guys what year that was in a second, you probably do not have a built-in protection mechanism to keep your foundation protected. Paul, am I correct on that?
That's absolutely correct. I mean, I grew up on the East Coast, and we just kind of took for granted that the house was built with certain features. The vapor barrier requirement in California wasn't part of the building code until 2004, 2005 timeframe, which is pretty remarkably embarrassing if you think about it.
It is, and now you look at a slab and what we do in new construction and remodeling with vapor barriers and sand to keep the moisture down, and back then they didn't.
Yeah, it's important to have. I mean, the folks that have the newer homes have a huge advantage, and generally speaking, what we're talking about here in this panel are for the most part, and I do see exceptions to this, but for the most part, we're talking about homes that were built prior to 2005.
Okay.
So what's funny is I'm guilty of that. When I first bought my house, first thing everybody wants to do is pretty up their front yard. So I built this nice planter box, put the retaining wall and everything, and didn't think about, as I backfilled the dirt, I'm actually bringing the dirt level higher than my weep screen on my walls. So now when it rains and everything else, the water would just sit there and actually migrate back into my house.
Well,
and
in stucco, it wicks the water up
and
into the wall.
It actually had a siding, because back in the 90s, it was siding. And then I'm looking inside my house going, gosh, I have black mold in my house. These dang windows are leaking. I'm going to get on the window guy. And I'm, blaming the window guy, not realizing this was my fault. I'm the one that didn't plan it, now I have all this water up against my house. And then you see the landscapers having the sprinklers up against the house too, blowing the water out. And it's like all that water is just coming right back in your house and just causing major damage.
So there's not, what I'm hearing here, and before because I want to break this into two major divisions here in a second,
right,
is the codes and requirements weren't there to protect people before 2005, you said. And a lot of companies, people, individuals have not taken this into account enough.
Yeah, we're not educated really as a homeowner enough to even think about, wow, if I do this, is it going to cause something else to happen? Everybody wants a nice planter box around their house, or nice landscaping, or shrubs. Those are the worst thing around your house, is having something within that 3 to 5 foot barrier where it stays moist and everything all the moisture just migrates back underneath the house or into the slab itself. And raised foundations are horrible.
I was just going to say, if your home is raised foundation, which means you have a stem wall and a joist floor system instead of a slab, and you block all that ventilation, that in itself will cause mold and mildew and other issues.
Right. You actually make under your house a nice little, wild kingdom. You got a place where there's moisture, there's water. All the animals are going to live underneath there, and it's just going to be, it's a free-for-all for them, because now they're in a controlled area where they can actually enjoy themselves, and you're ruining underneath your house.
But you could have a side business with a zoo, or
that's true. Yeah,
world, so that's fine. So the rest of the show, I think we'll divide things into a couple of bigger areas or sub areas we're talking about here, because there's water that can cause a problem that is water you did not choose, which is rainwater, maybe landscape water. You kind of do choose that, but the water that doesn't directly come out of a pipe. Is that one of the big problem areas, Mark? Is the water we don't choose, rainwater?
Yeah, and of course, your roof is your first shield to protect everything in your house from the weather. And then rain gutters capture the water from the roof and then take it to areas, points in places on the house that you begin to divert things away.
So it's a planned flow. It's a planning of where water's going to fall. You know it's going to hit your roof. Where does it go from there?
Yeah, very intentional.
So, I used to think that water, you just dropped it down on the downspout. You don't. You have to take it from there to another place, yes?
Well, we need to move it away in some way, especially if you don't have good drainage, away from the house. Your lot's supposed to flow away from the house and the foundation. So that may require extensions or actually drainage systems in order to carry it to other points.
So to break it down a little deeper is some homes have, and especially newer homes, because the code now is specific about positive drainage away from the building. But if you don't have that positive drainage, then you have to have area drains that capture the water and either take it out to the curb or naturally drain it off.
So there's ways to solve and control for some of these. We're going to be coming up on a break here in a minute, so we can't go into another big topic. I'm going to say the other thing we're going to cover in a bit is the plumbing side of things, but we're going to stay on water falling from the sky largely here. Mark, what's the number somebody would call if they needed rain gutters? Because if you don't have them, you need them.
619-633-7784, A-1 rain gutters.
And Bob Riley, We Care Plumbing, Heating, Air. If there's a plumbing issue or heating and air, what's the number somebody would call you at?
619-333-8646.
Thank you, Mr. Riley. And Paul, Perkins Custom Coatings, what's the number that somebody would call to reach you, and you help people with a lot of direction in this area with water?
619-333-8783.
Okay. When we come back after the break, we're going to continue this conversation. You can find all three of these great companies at ApprovedHomePros.com. You just search in any of the various areas for floor coatings, plumbing and heating, or rain gutters. So when we come back, we're talking about water falling from the sky, how to control it, and making sure it does not damage your home on Approved Home Pros. Welcome back to Approved Home Pros. I'm your host, Sean Johnson.
And I'm not.
And you're very thankful for that, I'm sure. That was Greg Cantor, our resident expert and owner of Murray Lampert Design, Build, Remodel. And we're talking about water, protecting your home from water and the damage that it can do to foundations. And when we left off, we were talking about the kind of water that can damage your home that falls from the sky or comes from the outside. And at the break, there was some recommendations that you were giving us in the studio, Paul Frankel from Perkins Custom Coating, about where you recommend people spend money. And I think it ties into Greg's story earlier. People are spending money in their homes. They want the pretty nice upgrade. But what's your advice sometimes?
Well, a lot of times we'll get a phone call from somebody and they want a nice new garage floor. And I'll go out and first thing I'd like to make sure is that, if I install a floor, it's going to work. And if there is a moisture issue, I'll try to help people understand, where it might be coming from. But, one of the first things I'll do is on the house is to look to see if there's gutters and if the gutters are properly connected to a drainage system, which is designed to take the water away from the house, from the foundation. And more often than not, I'll see that the house is missing gutters. And the thing that I try to make sure people understand is that during a normal year of rainfall, typically we get 8 to 10 inches of rain in San Diego. Every 2,000 feet of surface area on your roof is going to generate somewhere between 10 and 15,000 gallons of runoff.
Wow. Per year?
Per season.
Per season, okay.
And then if you think back 2 years ago, we had twice the normal rainfall. And so you can double that number. And so you're talking about filling a decent-sized swimming pool with the runoff from a 2,000 square foot house. So everybody out there, you can do the math. If you've got a bigger house than that, obviously the numbers are proportionately larger.
So,
I got a question. Go ahead.
So your recommendation, though, that you say to people is you tell them not to do your upgrade. but to put gutters on first because it's a priority. And we were talking about, you said protect over or plan and protect.
Plan and protect first. I mean, you got to plan out what you're going to do and then go for the protection mode of it. Don't just jump in and say, I want to go ahead and make this look pretty real quick, because you're just going to be causing damage. And on your question, on your statement about the gallons of water, is you might know, is there a way to catch that water? Because you're going to, I mean, that's a lot of water you can use, and you could probably use it for your irrigation or for something later on down the road. I know over in Hawaii they have catch tanks. So do you guys have a demand for any catch tanks or anything?
Yes, we can do rain capture systems and get rain tanks and connect them to the downspouts, and then the people can use them to do their exterior watering and so forth.
And
like
those
that.
rain barrels are not very expensive. I mean, you're a couple $100 and one or two of those at your home, and you can catch a lot of water.
Well, a barrel typically you're talking about 60 gallons max. So rain tanks can go all the way up to 5,000 gallons.
Oh, wow.
But then you have to have the room in on your lot and so forth to do that. But we can work out systems for that.
So I love the recommendation that you gave, Paul, and Bob backing it up with that gutters are important and they're a protective thing. It's just kind of 101 to your home. Greg, you recommend everybody have them. The company we recommend for gutters in San Diego is A-1 Rain Gutters. What's the number somebody would call? If you don't have rain gutters, you've got to call them because it's a protection thing you need to have.
619-633-7784, A-1 Rain Gutters.
One more time, Mark.
619-633-7784.
And of course, they're on ApprovedHomePros.com. Just look up rain gutters. So we've been talking about the water falling from the sky and controlling it and directing it away from your foundation. And the landscape water, and I love what we're talking about, about saving that water and being able to reuse it, and because we need to be responsible with that. How big of an issue is landscape water in terms of damaging foundations? Is that a big issue? Does that cause problems?
I think it's huge. You have that's probably sometimes as important in my experience. And most lots in Southern California are sloped from the backyard to the front yard, and so if you are typically overwatering in any particular part of the house, it will end up somewhere around or under your garage. And which is why I see all of this, and I always encourage folks to be very careful about what they're watering particularly in the foundation, in the landscape beds directly next to the foundation of the house.
And a lot of people, sorry about that. A lot of people modify their drainage. If you notice, like when houses were built, they did the natural slope. They went ahead and the tractors would go in there and dig a trench that basically went all around your whole house. And then the first thing people do as soon as they move in their house, they start filling in that planned drainage area because they want their yard nice and flat instead of having a V in it.
Because they don't know what that was for, right?
Right. They don't really understand why it was there. They're just saying, oh, I just don't like the way it looks. And then next thing you know, now you're causing water backup to build into your backyard or, anywhere in your house.
Right. Or the flat work around the house too. Your concrete.
Right.
It really is important to make. I see this a lot too, where concrete will actually drain back towards the house, or it'll be dead flat.
Right.
And people need to understand that everything from the point of where your foundation ends, everything needs to drain away from the house. Mm-hmm. And there's so many cases that I see where water drains either pools or drains back towards the house.
And when it's flat and it's poured almost level with the floor of the home, then the water is going to get under tracks, in the wood, cause dry rot. All kinds of other issues can occur.
And then when people pour the concrete, they don't think about, okay, now I have the water getting away from my house. Now where does it go? So now you need to have underground drainage to bring it around and take it on out to the rest of the house.
Exactly.
Are those French drains? Is that what that's called?
French drain is a type of grill.
It's a type of drain.
It's a type of drain.
Yeah, it's mostly like a grill type of. It's linear versus the round grills.
Who does that installation kind of work for the drainage systems? Is that somebody, Mark, that do you put those things in, or do you bring somebody in to help that to control the water once you've put the gutters in?
Yeah, I have a couple of contractors I deal with, and when we get it down to the ground, then they come in and they connect the drain systems, subterranean drains. Sometimes they're French drains if that's necessary, but they're usually solid drains, and then they take the water out and away from the foundation.
And if you're landscaping, then drainage is usually part of a landscape plan with the irrigation. So that's kind of a job for a landscape company if you're doing your whole backyard or front yard.
And a good one should be taking all these things into consideration. And we probably need to talk about those companies. I'd love to get them on the air with us. Let's give some contact information. Paul, you've been given a lot of great information. And I don't want to lose sight on, you're the guy that comes in and makes the cement or whatever the product is pretty and beautiful and protected in garages and a variety of other places. And you're a great consultant in what you do and help people and direct them. What's the number somebody calls to set up an appointment with you?
619-333-8783.
And what I love with what you do is the man that will walk away from a sale because it's better for the consumer is the kind of person we want in our network. And you're the one that chose this topic for us really with Greg today. And it's not about your product and selling your product. It's about helping consumers. So I love that. Bob Briley, We Care Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Anything that can go wrong, because we're moving into this next, is water you did choose to bring into your home via plumbing, but it breaks and something goes wrong. Any plumbing or any other need, what does somebody call it? We Care.
619-333-8646.
So, Greg, when we come back after the break, let's go into the final big section here, which is water you've chosen,
Right.
but it's gone awry. So that could be what? Breaks of the pipes and things like that?
That could be
Slab
breaks in
leaks.
copper lines. It could be pinholes that you don't even know there's a leak going on. There's a lot of things that can happen that Bob's going to speak about.
Okay, so we'll cover those things. It's going to be anything up to me leaving my faucet on and forgetting it and walking out of the house.
Hey, as long as it's draining, let the water go out.
All right, all of this is going to be covered when we come back on Approved Home Pros, and we also are going to have a great call in from Mr. Inspector Dan during Cantor's Corner. So stay tuned to Approved Home Pros.
Can you?
Greg, we need to invest in some big stop signs or stop lights or something like
we had a lot
that.
of chatter going on, didn't we?
You got to keep the animals under control in this place. That's hard.
Or a muzzle, that might work.
Ooh, or a shock collar would be
There
great.
you
So
go.
you
Or
press
just
a
leave
little
our
button.
microphones on live all the time and don't go to commercial breaks. You'll get some great information because we're constantly talking.
Or we'll turn your mics off.
Yeah, well,
No, you don't do that.
There's times we left those mics on. There's a thing called the license and the FCC and
Yes.
just minor stuff like that. So, as a reminder to everybody out there, we're talking about water and protecting your foundation from water because it's an important topic. We have a panel of three great pros today: Paul Frankel from Perkins Custom Coatings, Mark Richardson from A-1 Rain Gutters, Bob Briley from We Care Plumbing, Heating, and Air, and of course, always our resident expert, Greg Cantor from Murray Lampert Design, Build, Remodel. And I am Sean Johnson from, I kind of own Approved Home Pros, but also I'm the guy that doesn't know enough, and so I'm learning with everybody else here. When we left off, we're talking about the water that you do choose to have come in your home because it's coming in via plumbing, but it goes awry. That there's a problem. Bob, to you, if you have a leak of some kind, a slab leak, once, does that mean your home is probably more likely for other leaks because there's something fundamentally wrong maybe in the piping?
Yeah, it all depends on where the slab leak is. I mean, most of the slab leaks are from where the copper is mostly underground, and when it comes up and it penetrates through the concrete and then goes into your house. It's the copper touching the concrete is where majority of your slab leaks are. Copper moves. I mean, when water's going through it, your copper is vibrating. The line set's vibrating. You have a solid piece of concrete. It's just going to rub, and next thing you're going to get little pinholes. Once the pinholes start, they're really hard to find unless you actually see the water. But by the time you see the water on a pinhole, it's already done its damage.
And you asked me off the air, Sean, about these kind of leaks, and I would recommend calling and having a repipe done and not taking any chances, because if one leak occurs,
you're going to have another one. And a lot of insurances don't cover slab leaks. You would think, you would think, well, that's going to be it. But no, they see that's a natural thing that's going to happen, so they don't cover it.
Hey, Greg, I want to
You're
make
usually
sure.
going to fight with your insurance over it.
Yeah, insurance companies are, they don't like paying what they don't have to pay. That's a fact. And hopefully we're going to have an expert on talking about some of these issues in a few weeks. But Greg, I want to clarify what your advice there was. So if somebody has had a slab leak,
right?
It's not, are you saying you automatically shove a repipe or make sure you're working with your plumbing professional and having that as an option and looking at that? Or where
I
are we?
would say it's a good time if you have an underground slab leak to repipe. And what that means is abandon the old copper under the slab and run new copper overhead, right?
Yeah, and a lot of times it's actually almost cheaper to do a repipe because they're going to go overhead for one. And by the time you tear out your cabinets, if it's in the cabinet area, you tear up your floor, you start tearing your kitchen up to fix a slab leak, you could have pretty much, like I said, abandoned that line.
A few drywall patches for a repipe is a lot
A
better.
lot cheaper than a slab,
Yeah.
or anything affiliated to it.
When I hear repipe, I start thinking I'm going to have to sell the home to afford to repipe the home.
It's not that
No,
bad.
it's not that bad at all. And there's
Yeah.
also products they call it's a sleeve, where they can actually sleeve your copper piping, and it's a plastic pipe, like a PEC pipe, that actually goes into your copper, and it makes everything into a solid joint again.
I'm going to say this, however. I know there's companies out there, lesser companies that would never make it into Approved Home Pros, that have an agenda to sell that product or another product, and they recommend it to everybody under the sun because that's what they're making commission on. And the key is with this, as with everything, go to a company you can trust that is going to give you good recommendations on the product, not a commission salesperson masquerading as a plumber or a tech.
Sure.
And so we care as a company that you can trust in this way to be able to give you that advice. And I just always go back to that, because there's people that will tell you you need XYZ because that's what their commission bump on that month is.
Right.
And that you got to be careful of that. But overall, these are great products we're talking about. I'm not knocking them. I'm just making sure people.
And slab leaks
hear
are
this.
hard to find sometimes, and we actually take our infrared camera and have to go through the slabs or the walls sometimes to see the temperature change. Going, okay, there it is, and the homeowner didn't even know they had a slab leak, but they're looking at their water bill, going, "Why is it costing me so much?" And then we start figuring out, wait a minute, there's a leak somewhere, whether it be slab, your water main that goes from your house to the meter. I mean, you're responsible for all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think people don't know that. I've heard people say they loved one area of their home because it was so much warmer than the others.
Yeah.
And
That's true. Yeah.
But the reason for that is somebody tell people the punchline here.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Hot water.
Hot water, because it's a slab leak under that particular
Yeah,
part of the
sometimes
home.
I'll be walking along my living room and I have tile floors and I'll hit a warm spot. I'm like, uh-oh. But luckily it was the dog laying there at the one time. So it was still warm. But I'm like, oh no, here we go.
Yeah, that is a good, a really good point. What I want to make sure everybody knows is there are solutions to every one of the problems that we talked about today. I'm going to give a chance for our guests, our panel members, to talk in a second. But Greg, I want to hear your advice. Let's talk about water falling from the sky. If it's a problem, if it's gotten into your foundations, the foundation can be dried out. Yes.
Right.
And there is a solution to the overall issue for the future, which is
Rain gutters and either hard drainage or grading your surrounding area so the water runs off, or hardscape that's sloped away from the building. Positive drainage is really important.
and making sure your landscaper that doesn't know what he's doing doesn't build up stuff right along your foundation.
Exactly.
Right? Okay, and for solutions for these things, start with you can come to us at Approved Home Pros and we're going to give you some direction. But I think Mark Richardson is a great place to start because he'll give you the advice and direct you to the right place.
And gutters are not a do-it-yourself thing.
Oh,
so
no,
don't
no,
try
no.
to do it yourself.
Mark, what's the number?
619-633-7784.
Thank you. And then, of course, there's solutions to plumbing leaks and problems. We kind of just went through that you can repipe and addressing the slab leaks and those things.
But an annual checkup is probably a good idea. Maybe you might curb some of those issues that happen as surprises. Be proactive.
So get ahead of things. Maybe put off, buying that new TV to make sure that your house is, and you don't even have to afford not buy the new TV. It's not expensive. But what's WeCare's number?
619-333-8646.
And that's for not just plumbing, but heating, air conditioning.
Yes.
You do a huge variety of different things.
Yes, we do. We are not your one-stop shop. We don't do, painting and stuff, but we do your basic heating, air conditioning, and plumbing and solar.
Ventilation is important too.
Ventilation is huge because now that you can have a slab leak or something at one time, now you have those pores in your house. You want to dry out your house. Like we were talking earlier, that the first thing if somebody has an issue with a cabinet leaking or something like that, the first thing a dry down company will come in and do is they want air movement.
Yep.
Air movement's huge.
Because that'll help get the moisture out of the air. Paul, your solution, and we're kind of tight on time here. You've talked about that there are solutions to all of these things. I just want people to hear me and the recommendation. Get Paul out to your home for any concrete or any of the coatings or foundations or any of the other things. What's the main reason somebody calls you?
Well, we're going to be happy to put down a coating or deck system for anybody who's interested. But before I do that, I'm going to make sure that there aren't any conditions that would prevent that system from being successful.
Perfect. What's the number somebody calls you at?
619-333-8783.
Thank you so much. You can find all these great pros at ApprovedHomePros.com. Now it's time for Cantor's Corner with our resident expert, Greg Cantor from Murray Lampert Design, Build, Remodel. You got something special on tap for us with Cantor's Corner.
We have Inspector Dan Scher from the City of San Diego Building Inspection Services. Are you there, Dan?
Yes, I am. How you doing?
I'm great. So you're down in Mission Valley in the Costco parking lot. Tell us a little bit about this event that is going on now until noon, correct?
Yes, May is Building Safety Month for the City of San Diego, and we have a couple of booth setups here. We have giveaways. We have information regarding earthquake safety, fire safety, all types of safety issues we're addressing here. We have building inspectors. We have the structural reviewers and fire sprinkler reviewers. If you have questions regarding permits, what you need permits for, how to get them, any questions you have regarding inspections and buildings, we're here to help you out.
That's great. And if for a homeowner, if you're thinking about remodeling or doing improvements, or even contractors can benefit from this event.
Yes.
Again, it's at the Mission Valley Costco parking lot.
Yes.
And you have booths with demonstrations and everything.
Yes, we do. We have interactive displays and videos running and all types of fun stuff. So come on down.
So it's a good time for everybody to head over there. I think I'm going to head down there after the show. Inspector Dan, thank you for being on the air with us this morning. We hope to have the Inspector Gadget theme song playing when you were on, but I don't know if we were able to arrange that or not. But we want to have you back on the show soon.
On.
It did play. Oh, good. Okay. So thank you for being on. Is there a number if somebody needs any help getting there?
Getting what?
Anybody has any questions or needs any help from you?
Yeah, let me give you.
Let me give you a number. We're running out of time. I'll give the
Sorry.
Murray Lampert number, 619-500-9485. That's Greg Cantor, Murray Lampert, 619-500-9485. Log on to ApprovedHomePros.com for anything you need for your home. We are your free local resource for all things home improvement.